Right, let's start that again. All that waffle and you couldn't even hear it. Yeah, I don't know why it does this. Sometimes the microphone just decides to switch off when I boot up OBS. No idea why, but hello, thank you for joining the stream. Oh, got lots of different designs to review today. What I was saying that nobody could actually hear is that I was just in the other room doing my hair. I was trying to make myself look somewhat presentable for you all, and then I heard the music of the intro counting down. And I was like, oh, wow, I need to be in the other room like now. So, yeah, no pressure. Hopefully you're all doing well. Everyone in the chat, all the regulars, I see you there. Thank you so much for joining. Quinton, we're going to have to carry on without you. And if you're watching this on the replay, then we missed you. And hopefully we'll see you on Thursday. But life calls, that is the way, especially when you've got kids. Alok, hello. Pop in that just a little technical error will be, technical errors. There might be a delay. But anyway, I'm going to crack on because we've got some good stuff to go through today. And we've done a lot of logos recently. We've done quite a few logos. So today, I really wanted to do something a little bit different. So we've got some Photoshop stuff, photo manipulation to be more precise. And some of these submissions are pretty awesome. So we're going to jump into it now. And let's open up our first one. This is from Max Art, also known as Dilshin. Got a nice, delicious panoramic one there, but we'll focus on these two. And this is also, I mean, I love this for starters. Dilshin, I love your style when it comes to this kind of stuff. This looks very sci-fi. We've got a spaceman here. Oh, I thought he was holding an ice cream then. Spaceman with a holographic projection of some kind. Giant ship. Other ships in the background. Kind of remind me of like a hammerhead shark or something. And then over here we've got the kind of unretouched version with the basic images. And I love seeing these because it's actually like you get to see where all of the original images are within the composition. Sometimes you kind of can't see them all so clearly because they're blended so well together. So here we can see we have this thing that he's standing on. We have the spaceman. We have the ship. I'm not sure if the background was all one, but if it wasn't, then it's been stitched beautifully. Some flying things in the sky. We have a moon and a planet. And this composition, like when you actually look at the different components, it seems very simple. But I think the technical skill comes in actually blending them in together in a way that looks realistic. And this just has a really nice kind of feel to it. Very kind of sort of warm, but at the same time you got that kind of greeny sort of teal color in there as well. I'm not sure what this particular style, if it does have a particular name, is called, but it just has a really nice sort of nice feel to it, nice colors. Yeah, and the way that ship has kind of been retouched in, obviously all the shadows added under here. Down here as well. I think, yeah, possibly the shadows, I think, could have a little bit more work done on them. I think they kind of feel like they're a bit too large and quite soft, like they cover a large surface area. And actually this contraption here with these little legs and bits and pieces is actually quite intricate. So I think in reality you would probably see a more intricate shadow there. I'll be honest, that would be very difficult to do. That's something that I would find very difficult to do as well, because it's much easier when something is like a block, just to kind of draw a nice big shadow. But this contraption here with all of these different shapes in it, it's, like I say, very intricate. And that would potentially lead to a more intricate shadow in certain places. And where's the light coming from? Yeah, light's coming from up here in the top right corner. But I mean, that is a minor nitpick, but that is what I'm here to do. Zoom in really close and just critique everyone's work on a very granular level. And to be honest, when it's kind of this type of work, you know, like I said, the difference between someone who does like let's say like a more amateur piece of work like this, combining images together or compositing them, I should say, and something much more kind of high end like this, is those little details with the kind of lighting, the shadows, you know, where the light's coming from. There's actually like a few key things that if you get those wrong, it can look really bad. But actually, if you fix them all, a piece of work that previously looked bad can actually be quite easily turned into something incredible. That's why when I'm kind of practicing this sort of stuff, you know, off camera, I like to try and do it with just 2 images. Just take one background, like let's say a mountain, and then I'll have a beach ball or a teddy bear or a drink, some random object, and try and blend the 2 together. Because if you can't blend 2 images together on their own, there's no point trying to do like a crazy complex composition with 10 different images. And that's the thing to really work on if you want to get better at this, is just work on blending 2 images together. 2 images together. Do 2 images together, then 3 images together, and kind of keep the you can still keep the creativity up there for sure, but keep the amount of images you're compositing lower. And then when you get more comfortable and confident with shadows and lighting and that sort of thing, balancing colors to match, then start introducing more different elements. 100% manual work. Mike, hello. Looks fantastic. Is this generative AI in Photoshop? Nope. No AI here. Nice one. Hats off, extra impressed. Yeah, this looks awesome. I love this. Really, really cool. Where did you get the spaceship graphic from? Is that like a stock image from Adobe Stock, or like, yeah, where did you get that image from? Because that is a really cool looking spaceship. And the background as well, actually. That's a really nice background. Nice color palette, says Rich. Yes, I would agree. Lovely colors. Ah, yeah, relevant piece with June 2 and Starfield on the brain. Oh, yes. This is really giving me Starfield vibes. That was a really good point. I haven't played Starfield yet, but it does look pretty interesting. Great photo manipulation there. Kudos, says Floyda. Chaser Gaming just sent in some of my Photoshop work. Excellent. It's a free stock from DeviantArt, and the background is from Unsplash. Oh, nice. Nice. DeviantArt. Wow, that goes back to when I was like 17. That was around then. That was where I first started posting my design work back in the day. But yeah, I don't really go on there much these days, but I guess people do create things and then, you know, give them away, license them for free, right? So nice. Yeah, that makes sense. Really cool. And like I say, I love these before and afters. And you can see with the colors as well. All of these images, they're lit differently. Colors are totally different, especially this fella here. He's very nicely lit. And that is the trick, is kind of balancing the colors and getting everything looking good. And one way you can do this is use this adjustment layer here, the color balance adjustment layer. And what it does is let you control all of these different colors within the shadows, midtones, and highlights of your image. So if you have like a very, I don't know, let's say a very bluey image, your shadows might have a bit more blue in them. So you'd kind of select the shadows from here, and then you kind of play around with these sliders. And this is the one panel that you can do quite a lot with this, and you can balance images that are cool and warm and just kind of balance them together really nicely. So yeah, that's a great one. In fact, that's a great start. I love that. Fantastic. Especially love the cinematic version as well with the kind of strip. So Dilshin, thank you so much for sending that one in. That is awesome. Right, what have we got next? Let's do this one. Oh, we've got some vibrant colors here. Let me just move that out of the way. Bear with me, I've got windows all over the place today. DeviantArt is still alive. Yes, Mike. Not sure what's more impressive, this artwork or that site's longevity. I know, yeah. I mean, if I was back on that in when I was 16 or 17, that's 20 years. 20 years. Yeah, I had to try and remember my age then, because if you if you followed the recent kerfuffle, I legit forgot how old I was. I think it was 37. I'll pretend I'm 36. Take a year off. DeviantArt was redone a year back, I think. I'm still posting on there. I've been a member for a long time. Ooh, okay. Old man, you cheeky moo. How dare you? Oh, is this yours? Hey, Chase Pitt, this is yours. Excellent. Yeah, so what do we have? We have a beautiful sunset, lots of bushes, foliage, a lovely reflection there, a car and a jetty. So do you mind me asking, how did you create this? Because it kind of looks stylized, especially the car. Is it just me? Like the car looks almost, I don't know. It doesn't look like a realistic car. Was this done with generative AI? Just sort of looking at some of the parts of the car. Because I don't think is that an actual car? With this bit back here, the yellow bit? Oh, based on the game Rocket League. The car is the Dominus. Oh, right. My brother's played that a lot. He absolutely loves Rocket League. I've not played it before. It looks pretty wild, though. Bouncing all around the place. Let me send you the Photoshop file. Okay, yeah. If you could ping me that now, I will try and pick it up from you. Let me see if I can open the folder. But yeah, I'll wait for that. You just sent the file. Okay. All right, calm down, Dan. Calm down. Let's type your name, Chase. Might take a minute to come through. Yo, sup, Dansky? Not much, just chilling, reviewing designs. Oh, there we go. It's come through. I got it. Right. Will you be doing any logos today? Probably not. I was going to keep it more to Photoshop stuff because there are a lot of logos. I mean, actually, what do you guys think? I was going to try and group different kind of topics together. So, I get a bunch of different submissions. I get the photo art stuff like this. I get logos. I get UI design. I thought about actually grouping them together in different streams. So we kind of do one that's this sort of photo stuff, one that's logos, one that's UI design, one that's posters and print media, just because then people kind of know what they're getting, if that makes sense, rather than just kind of like a random soup of different things. But just back after scoffing lots of food, belly busting. Nice, Jatty. I'd love to do a bit of belly busting. It looks like they've painted over the stocks. I've done a few painterly style manipulations as well. Yeah, that's what I mean. There is like this style. Okay, let's have a look. Let's break it down. Oh, I love doing this. I love it when I got some layers. But yeah, let me know what you think to that, whether you'd rather have kind of these design reviews with a theme or if you just like a random mix of different things. I'm totally fine either way. It's kind of really what you'd like to do. Okay, so here we go. We've got the original photo here. We've got a bit of orange in the background. I love doing this, turning this on. Got a bit of haze here in the foreground. Got a few particles in the sky. Okay. Got a hue saturation layer that I think changes the colors of those particles very subtly. Whoa, I'm guessing this is a shadow. Let's get the Dominus on first. There's the Dominus. Yeah, okay, so I think that's the first thing I'd definitely point out is the shadow. And this is tricky as well. Where's the light coming from? The light is coming from up there, definitely, in the sky. So it's going to be coming down and hitting this car here. So it will create a shadow. This is one thing that I've made this mistake, so I can identify it a lot. And it's just kind of doing the blanket shadow. Like it's super, super quick to throw down a black blob of shadow, but it does make the work look less realistic. So the way I would go about this, let's just try. I'll try and do it. I'm using a trackpad, but I'll give it a go. So around areas that are quite close to the car. Oh, actually, hang on. I've got my tablet. There's the pen. Hang on. I've got. Right. Let's get me old Wacom tablet out. I'll give this a go. It's so much easier. Doing retouching and shadows and things with a stylus is so much easier. All right, let's bring that flow down. Boosh. There we go. So around the edge of the car is going to be a lot harder. So that shadow is going to be pretty kind of hard around the edge. It's not going to be super soft and feathered. Definitely be darker down here. And I guess over there. Obviously I'm doing this very, very quickly. Disclaimer. So I would kind of do one layer. I probably would use an exposure adjustment layer as well, but sometimes I do just brush in with black. It depends how complex my document is. And then what I would do is I would kind of bring this down. Whoa. And then just start kind of like a second pass of the shadows. So what I'm doing is, and even though I'm doing this very quickly, you can see that I'm building it up really slowly. And sometimes it's actually easier just to not use a pen stylus and just make it nice and big and then single click with a trackpad. Because when I'm using a stylus, it'll take pressure into account, so it can kind of, depending on how hard I press, it can change how it looks. Whereas using a trackpad, I can just click now and just gradually build this shadow up. And then drop this down even more. I'll keep this on the same layer for now. And then what I probably would do is squish this down so I can actually change the size of the brush and then use the arrow keys to rotate it. So if I wanted something kind of really going away from the car like this, and that's just like super quick. That's, you know, it's not going to win any awards, but if I group that together and just sort of show you the difference, you got the kind of the blanket shadow, and then you've got a shadow that's a bit more sort of staggered. Is that helpful at all? Oh, is there an Apple keynote today, is there? Alex says most definitely a theme. Okay, cool. If anyone else has any thoughts on that sort of notion of having themes for these design reviews, that would be much appreciated. Something else you can also do is, if you are using like block black like this, right click on your shadows or your group of shadows and go to blending options. And this panel will appear. Let me just bring this on screen so you can see what it is. And then you want to kind of play around with these sliders holding Alt or Option. You see there, if I bring this one down, if I zoom in nice and close, what it's doing is it's blending that black that I've brushed in. It's blending that into the wood on the jetty, but it's retaining the texture. So if I turn this off and on, obviously that is, I'm brushing black on top of an image, so the image is going to become less what's the word, more obscure. Whereas there, what it does is it retains the detail and the texture of the image underneath, but I've still got that kind of black as well. So maybe we don't need it that much, just a little bit. And that's a great way that you can brush in shadows on top of an image but still retain the texture of the image coming through underneath. So just a little bit of a retouch there. I learned my Photoshop from Benny Productions and just threw myself into it. Lol. Oh, Benny's amazing. Yeah, the amount of stuff I've learned from Benny as well, just from like, he usually goes quite quick in his videos. I think he likes sort of doing the sort of fun stuff more than teaching per se. But if you slow down his videos and you kind of have an understanding of Photoshop, you can actually learn quite a lot. Maybe the backside of the car can be burned a bit. Yeah, so you'd want to add the shadows onto the backside of the car as well. I'm going to try not to get too carried away with this, because it's, I'm sort of talking about don't rush your retouching, and then I'm trying to rush the retouching on a stream. But I'll just try and demo it really quickly. Ooh, let's get a normal shape brush back. Because I if I get a bit carried away with the design now, I can start rushing it. And even now, if I don't kind of take my time with something and I try and rush the important parts, it can make the design look terrible. Yeah, darken that a little bit. Something like that. And then with the car, I was talking about the exposure adjustment layer. So no, not exposure, color balance, that one. So obviously this image is very orangey yellow, warm. So let's try and introduce a little bit of that. Highlights. Maybe not that much. There you go. So you can see we're really kind of taking that light color and adding that into the image. What about the shadows? Something like this. Maybe not too, could go a bit extreme, but we want to retain the color of the car. So we still want it to be blue. That might be a bit too much, but you can see just by making those few adjustments already, we've got the sunset kind of bouncing off of that car, which makes a massive difference. And all of these adjustment layers, they're all listed here, so they're fully editable. So we just have that flexibility. So if you do mess something up or you do rush a bit, it's cool because you can go back and just make some changes. And the lights, I got to do this on the lights. This is something I love doing. I love doing a good old lens flare. So let's add one of these. And then squish down that brush, nice and flat. There's a few different ways that you can do this. Actually, I'd probably be better off creating it from scratch. Yeah, there's so many different ways to create these. Let's bump that flow back up to 100%. And we'll start with a nice red color. Plonk. There we go. Big blob of red. And we can stretch this down like this. Make it nice and thin. Then I can duplicate this with Command or Control J. Command or Control U to open up the hue and saturation panel. It keeps opening up on my other window, so I'm going to bring it in there. We'll bump up the lightness and the saturation, scale that down. So we're kind of creating this sort of staggered lens flare. I might need to just play around with that a little bit. And then merge those together, duplicate them. And let's try and just squish that in a bit like this, but make it a bit more round. And there's a few different ways you can do this, but let's just try blending that one in. Screen. Yeah, it's not the best lens flare I've done, I'll be honest. I've definitely done some better ones before. actually. That's pretty awful. That's a pretty awful one. I've definitely done better ones than that. But that's kind of the process, is it's like staggering it. And then you could just kind of go and add some glow. Oops. Around the edge of the lights. Maybe not that much. There we go. That looks a little bit better now. And then you could add some red to the back of the car, kind of showing where the that kind of red from the lights is then coming off and reflecting on other areas. And definitely play around with different blending modes that give you kind of different results. Yeah, those lens flares are awful. What I would probably do, actually, the easiest way to do it is to get a photo of a lens flare, because some you get a photograph of one and they look amazing. But if I turn these off and back on, what are the layers that I've added? These ones here. Yeah, so you can see that just with a few adjustment layers, just these two actually, we've already made the car blend into the scene much more effectively. And then just a little bit of even that, just that on its own. Well, if we leave that on there and we'll kind of ignore the terrible lens flares, just that adds a bit of life to those lights as well. It's not an Illustrator day today. It's Photoshop. Could have some fire coming out the exhausts. Yeah, you could have a bit of smoke, a bit of fire. Yeah, you could do like a whole lot of different things. But anyway, let's carry on turning the other layers on. I got a bit distracted then. So what have we got up here? Oh, this is all a smart object. Oh, I see. Wow. Okay, so this is where a lot of the transformation happens. Do you know, I think the camera raw filter on this one is a bit too much. The blur gallery. Yeah, that's okay, right. I see what you've gone for there in the foreground, top and bottom. I'd probably take that off. Just because of the way the camera is, it's quite high up. And I think the camera raw filter, I think it's just a bit too much. Oh, whoa. Whoa. Texture and clarity to the max. Oh, and the dehaze. Oh, yeah, dehaze. Got to be careful with that one. Like, sometimes if I have like a really kind of atmospheric scene, or I've got like sound or light, I sometimes dip this down a bit. Just a little bit, and it can really kind of help sell that sense of atmosphere. But I very rarely go the other way, because yeah, it can add like a super amount of contrast to this. And so what I generally, if I need to add more contrast, I would do it up here. You can see I've got the contrast controls, I've got my highlights, shadows, whole bunch of sliders here. I would try and do that before doing the dehaze. Also for texture and clarity, it depends on the image. Sometimes you can crank them to the maximum and they look great, but if you're working with skin tones, for example, like I've got my face on some thumbnails for these videos, and if I crank the clarity and texture all the way up, my face just looks, I don't know, it makes my face look horrible and grainy. It makes the skin look weird. So it definitely depends. Most of the time for my work, I usually do something like this, between 20 and 40% on both of these, give or take. Yeah, so you can see there, it just kind of, that's the base version without any of this. And then we can just kind of oomph that color with the camera raw filter. So and I think the camera raw filter should be used to kind of enhance what you've already done, rather than try and kind of I don't want to say fix, but like, and because this is something I've done, you know, I've tried to use effects and colors and blending modes and things to kind of, I guess, mask over retouching that could have been better, I think is what I'm trying to say. And actually it's better to kind of, and I've done this as well. So what I would typically do is, if I ever catch myself doing that now, I delete all the effects, delete the camera raw filter, I go back a step and I work on the core fundamentals. So those adjustment layers here. Is the shadow looking good? Could that be better? So I work on the core fundamentals of the retouching, and then I get that looking as best as it can, and then I add the camera raw filter on top, making it pop. Does that make sense? Hopefully that's helpful anyway. That's a lot of waffle from me. But that one was more rushed because I was just making wallpapers to put on Reddit. Yeah, I think that's the thing. I've done work as well before. I've kind of tried to rush it. And I need to get the wolf example. If you've ever played Dark Souls, there's a wolf called Sif. And I tried to make this design like twice. Twice I tried to record it as well for a video. And I completely screwed it up. I tried rushing it. I made so many mistakes. And when I actually finally finished it some 20 hours later, it looked awesome. I was just incredibly proud of how it looked. But it's amazing to have the terrible versions as well. Like, you would not believe that I made those two versions and nearly gave up. Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing as well. Like, just by making stuff like this and then sitting back and looking at it, you can kind of, as you get more experience, you'll see things that, oh yeah, I could have done that back then. Or you'll learn, like, I don't know, you might watch a video and learn a trick about lighting. Like Benny's got a video on how he does his highlights, and then you can come back to this video, this design, and go, oh yeah, okay, cool. I could add some highlights along the car using that technique, highlights coming from the sun. And it's all a learning game. We're always learning. Good video, Dansky. Some of your best and worst designs. That would be good. That'd be a lot of fun, that would. I could try and download... Do you know what? I'm going to try and download the wolf. I think I might have mentioned it on stream before, and it's about time that I showed it. I'll see if I can find it a second, and then I will carry on. Because I think, if nothing else, I think it's a good message of hope. Just not to give up, because I nearly threw in the towel with that one. And I look at the finished design now and think, wow, Dan, you nearly gave up on that. Like, you know? But yeah, thank you so much for submitting that one, Chase. That is awesome. Right, here we are. Let me see if I can find it. Where do I put my work? There we go. Featured. Where would it be? Got to remember where I put it now. Right. Ooh, is that it? I believe I found it. Oh, there we go. Okay, it's just syncing on Dropbox. I'll give that a minute to sync. Oh God, the wolf at the start. Oh yeah, you saw it. It was it was something. Okay, right. We're going to move on to the next one. Thank you so much, Chase. That was awesome to see. Right. Okie dokie. Right, next up. Oh, you've submitted quite a few ones, Chase. I think, Chase, you're like the majority of photo manipulation stuff. Okay. Oh, I mean, I love this. This is by, I think, Graphic Idea. And this is super cool. No, don't be sorry. I'm just looking at the file names now. You have definitely got your moment in the spotlight today. And I can tell that you definitely like Cars and Rocket League. For sure. Right, I love this. This is so cool. So, we have the ocean. Lovely, nice blue image. We have a giant tree stump. And we have a house. I mean, that does look like a very nice, secluded place to live. I could definitely find some kind of retreat from my kids there. Definitely. That would be nice and peaceful. A kid-free zone. You could get a sign outside as well. And the palm trees coming up as well. I love that. The first thing I'm noticing around, I think, some of the edge here. Sorry, boys. I do love you. You're just a bit much sometimes. Pop in and says, giant tree in the sea. Love it. Yeah, so I think some of the edges here, probably a little bit soft. So when cutting out, you want it to kind of look realistic when you're compositing images. If you cut it out too hard, so let's say your brush has a hardness of 100%, and you're cutting out like that, obviously it's going to look too fake. The edges will be too sharp. Something to be mindful of as well when you're using the pen tool, because the pen tool will cut things out with a lot of precision. Leo said, I wouldn't mind living there. That's a very good point, Mike. Hope there's a ladder to get back up and down. There's probably like an elevator that goes into the what's it called? There's an elevator that goes into the stump, and it probably leads to like a boat or a dock or something. Oh my god, the stream looks like there's like a real lag. Are you guys getting like a lot of lag as well? I don't know if that's the files syncing. How would you get up there? That's very practical, Rich. I think some steps and a jetty at the bottom would have been a welcome addition. Yeah. So yeah, you don't want to cut out too hard, but sometimes you don't want to cut out with a hardness of 0, because you see here, you do get those soft edges, and that's what's happened here a little bit. So you kind of want to sort of have somewhere around 40 to 60%. So you do get that soft edge, but it's not too soft. And when you're kind of cutting out like this, it just helps things look a bit more realistic. It looks like there's a bit of magic wand tool going on here, possibly. So that's just something that stands out to me when I'm zooming in at like, you know, thousands of percent. But yeah, generally I love the composition. The colors are great as well. Really nice colors, and the birds are a nice touch. Yeah, a little bit of retouching over there. Just needs a little bit of masking just along those edges. And something else you could do as well on the parts of the tree that go under the water. What you could do is a few different ways you could do this. You could liquefy it, but what you could do is you could also, oh, not like that. Just maybe liquefy some of it a little bit. Obviously, I wouldn't liquefy the water as well, but I'm working with a flat graphic here, and just pull some parts of the image to the left and to the right, kind of in line with the waves under the water. And what it will do is it will just when you're looking at the trunk from above the water and the waves and the ripples, they would distort what you're seeing. So you're just adding a little bit of that distortion of the waves. And actually, by using the smudge tool, what you might be able to see it's doing is actually, like, if you smudge, you can see it blurs everything. But actually, that isn't necessarily a bad thing here, because it's kind of blurring and slightly obscuring the areas under the water at the same time as adding a bit of distortion from the waves. Which I think just makes it look a little bit more realistic. Stream is all good. We're all in sync here. Okay, that's good. That's good to know. Whew. A stumpervator. Nice. I like it. I mean, there's definitely space here for some kind of helipad or some sort of lift, some sort of thing. But yeah, no, that's cool. I love it. I really, really do like that. Let's try adding a camera raw filter. Let's just... because I don't know if this one's got one on. It doesn't look like it. I might be mistaken. Yeah, so you can see, you can bump up the clarity a little bit, and it does make things sometimes look a little bit less blurry and give it a bit more, well, clarity, detail. But if you crank it all the way up, it can absolutely ruin an image and just ruin the colors and everything. So definitely use the texture and the clarity sliders with a grain of salt. Use them with salt, take them with salt. I don't know. You know what I mean. You know what I mean. Take it with a pinch of salt, use with caution. And of course you can play around with the dehaze. You know, an image like this, you could kind of make it feel a bit lighter and like a bit more, I don't know, just add a bit more atmosphere by bringing it down a tiny bit. And if you're going to drag it all the way to the right, again, just don't go too far. You can see it kind of brings in all this sort of artifacting and everything, and it, I don't know, yeah, horizontal lines and whatever. So yeah, typically leave that at 0. And you can play around with the vibrance. If you want more or less, if you want to go for a slightly desaturated look, don't play around with the saturation, just use the vibrance, because that can sometimes just take the edge off a little bit. I would personally lean to something more like this because I love that desaturated, moody look. But of course you can make it a bit more vibrant as well. Before, after. So yeah, it depends what you're going for. But if you've never used camera raw filter before, this is a secret weapon. It's a really, really incredible thing to use, actually. You get up there like Stallone at Cliffhanger. I mean, not just about getting up. How would you even get there? You'd have to get a boat or something. A few gnomes and it would be perfect. Yes, gnomes. A little gnome sat on the edge here, fishing over the edge. That'd be amazing. Oh, where's that Photoshop beta when you need it? Rod in hand, not one with headphones. Yeah, but I absolutely love this. This looks really, really cool. And yeah. And what I like about it as well is it's not overly complex. You know, if I were to kind of guess, you've got the main image here, the sky and the water. Could be 2 images, but could also be 1. You've got the tree stump. You've got the house, and it looks like the trees and everything are all part of the same image. If I had to guess, it looks like that is all part of the same image, blended quite nicely there. And the trees are cut out as well, which is handy. And then we've got the birds here, which could possibly, this one here seems to sort of have a little bit of transparency. So that might be a bird brush, possibly, not sure. Graphic idea, you can tell me, but stamp, 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 and you've got a bunch of birds. That's how I would probably do it, because you don't need to have detail on the birds. They're just kind of silhouetted. So, but yeah, there aren't actually that many components to this, but it's just been retouched really nicely. Yeah, really cool. Nice. Right, let's move on to the next one. think this is you again, Chase. Ooh, this is cool. I'm guessing, is this the same car? I'm guessing this is the car. I mean, I love this one. I prefer this to the other one, if I'm honest. I think this one looks... I think the retouching is better on this one. Like, you've done some work on the lights and things. We've got some light coming out there, and here as well, you've got some highlights. And I love the kind of whole sort of the kind of duality of this. We've got this side over here with the blue and the lightning, and we've got this desert over. Oh, there's a couple of wolves. Oh, hello. Oh, I love that. So we've got some wolves over there with the blue, and then we've got the cacti over there on the right with the yellow, and it's just, the composition is just really, really sick. And some reflections as well. Reflections are always nice if you can get those in. I feel like there's a bit of distortion with the floor. I'm not sure. And the lines on the road feel really massive. Yeah, I can't quite tell how you've made the road and the lines on the road. Twister meets Fast and Furious. Oh, Fennec this time. Is that the car? Fennec riding out the storm. Yeah, it's just a wicked composition. I love the debris as well. I don't think I've got a PSD for this, but that's fine. And this is one thing that I really love about this, is you've got the debris. You've got quite a lot of it in focus, these little pieces. We've got certain pieces here that are still quite visible, but they're blurred, and they've got like what looks like a path blur on there. And that kind of shows the movement. And then we've got some bits here that are intended to be further behind, and they're more blurred. And path blur is a really good way to convey a sense of movement as well, and depth. So you can see all the faint ones here that are much harder to see. They're further away and getting lost in this tornado, sandstorm, whatever it is. And the bits that are closer are a lot darker and more pronounced. So it adds movement and it adds depth as well, which is really cool. I think the scale of the lightning probably feels a little bit big. The scale of the composition feels a little bit off. The lightning here is quite big. The parts of the land here feels like it's from a photo that's a lot further away. And this part of the road feels like it's larger, like the lines as well. Do you see what I mean? I don't know if this is because the car's quite small, but it's like if these are the two lines that go down the middle of the road, the scale of the car and the scale of the lines as well, they feel huge. But maybe I'm just overthinking it. Maybe I just need to take this kind of as something a bit more fun. I mean, it is Rocket League inspired after all. I can't take credit for a lot of this because the main comp is a stock photo. The main comp. Ooh, wolf. Right, let me have a look. Oh, you sent a PSD file. Ooh, okay. Right, let's have a look at the PSD file, because it'd be really interesting to see the original photo. Where are we? Let's do a search for Chase PSD. There we go. Oh, interesting. Oh, okay. Oh, wow. Where on earth did you find that? Where did you find this image from? Because I feel like that is an image that someone else has made, possibly. I'm not sure how they made that. Do you know what this looks like to me? This part of this road looks like 3D. It looks like how I would texture a road in 3D, which isn't ideal. Because it's like a sort of gravelly, bumpy texture, but it looks like it's mapped onto a flat surface, and this is something that I'm trying to learn with 3D and stuff at the moment. But yeah, it looks like somebody's already kind of made this. So, I mean, yeah, it's a flat image. So there's, I mean, the lightning, I guess, is baked into it. So there's only so much that you can really do with that. iStock. Oh, okay. It's the road from the future, Dansky. Big lines. It's where the council runs out of dosh to maintain the roads. They run out of dosh, so they just make giant lines. Maybe the car is tiny. Maybe it is. Okay, so you added in some more debris. Let's have a look then. Haha, the shadows. Yeah, same comment on the shadows. So hopefully that makes sense. It's kind of sort of just bleeding too far out, but we've gone through that already, so I won't go back through that again. The main thing when you're doing any composition is, even if you add a big red arrow, just define your light sources. What light is what color, where it's coming from. So here it'd be like a yellowy beige, and over here it's blue. And sometimes on my work I draw a big arrow and it just kind of reminds me like, oh yeah, the light's coming from here. Okay, there we go. We've got some highlights on there. Blue on the left, cool. And these are quite hard. Like, even doing highlights now, knowing where to put the lights is something that I still find quite difficult. I still find challenging. I find it quite challenging. I know the likes of Benny and Phaser Runner will just throw highlights on and it'll be like amazing, but I still find it quite challenging. I'll get there usually with it, but it'll just take me a lot longer to kind of figure out the placement for the light. Like sometimes I'll look at it and think, oh, that light kind of bleeds over a bit too much, or maybe on here on the spoiler, you know, maybe just the rim should be visible with the lighting color and the rest shouldn't. But I think it's one of those things that the more I'm doing it, the better I'm getting at it. Okay, let's keep turning bits on. There we go, we've got the wolves in there, bit of shadowing. And that's the thing as well, the wolves are quite in the distance, so you can kind of just get away with doing some rough shadowing. I've done that a few times as well. I think when it's your like focal piece, or like your hero or heroine, or in this case the car, like the focal piece of a design, yeah, when there's more focus on it, you have to make the shadows look better. When it's kind of in the background, you can get away with a lot, I think. We've got a color fill there. Oh, could we change the blending mode? It doesn't really do too much. Oh yeah, that's nice. That's really nice. Nice bit of haze. Bush. I love doing that. Bit of atmosphere. Same on this side. It just kind of enhances everything. And then yeah, kind of saying, see what you've done with the camera raw filter. 100% texture. Oh no, I think I've crashed Photoshop now. Photoshop's got this weird issue where if I open the camera raw filter settings, there's a percentage chance it will just crash. I just came in to watch your live. Can you delete it and do it again? No. I've definitely broken Photoshop. Or Photoshop has broken me, one way or the other. Right, let's open up Photoshop again. So yeah, that was really cool, Chase. Thank you for submitting that one. I'm going to show you the wolf one now, because I think I mentioned this before. And if anyone is interested in photo manipulation, I'd very much like to give you some hope. Okay. Oh, the story intro. Oh, I forgot that. I've never shown anyone this. Oh, I'll show you this. Poppy did some voiceover work. Have we got any Dark Souls fans? in the stream, because if you've played Dark Souls, this will make a lot more sense. Right, let's open this one. What have we got? Yeah, the stream's being recorded and it'll be on the channel after. We can't start it again because we've already... it's already the second time. The audio didn't work already. Okay, oh, you've calmed down with the camera raw filter. Yeah, I've got the light actually queued up next. Or after this one. Right, let me just whip this up. Right. So this is the finished version of something I did. I think I did this about 2 years ago now. And it's inspired by Dark Souls. Basically, yeah, I've played Dark Souls. I've watched Dark Souls being played. Love it. And one of the bosses is called Sif, and he's a giant wolf, and he watches over the grave of his master Artorias, who is this knight who went off to vanquish evil in the abyss. And so you've got his grave with Artorias, you've got his greatsword there, which that image is from Google actually. I had to Google his sword. And then around the battlefield are all the people that have attempted to take on the wolf and died. So their swords are everywhere. And then this is you. You're just like, yeah, sure. These swords are about as big as me, but why not? I'm going to have a crack at the wolf. And he was very much loved, so there's flowers there as well. And it's a really beautiful boss fight and a pretty amazing moment in the game. So I wanted to make a piece of art to kind of pay it tribute. And this is the final result. I think I did. Did I do some extras as well? Yeah, there we go. So Dilshin, I had to go at the old cinematic as well. And I sort of stylized the word Sif in the same font as Dark Souls, and then underneath, I think that's in Japanese. I think it says the Great Wolf or something. And I love this. I was really, really proud of how it ended up. But... can I show you how it started? Oh dear, this is awful. So what I typically do is I try and do a rough concept before starting anything, just to see if the concept will look good, if the concept has any legs. But yes, but. And I've never shown these to anyone. Oh no, they're awful. Right. Ah dear. We live and learn. Yeah, there's a couple more. Oh, just diabolical. I think I had a few more goes than I remember actually. It's alright, I don't think it's crashed again. I think it's just being slow. We're getting there. Hopefully. I mean, I think the bar's moving. Oh no, Photoshop, come on. Really? The wolf took your sword. He does actually fight with the sword in his mouth. That was the original concept. There should be another one. Photoshop's having a funny five. Yeah, I was going to keep the sword in his mouth, but then at the end it was kind of like, oh, it just feels a bit weird. So I put the sword back in the back in the ground. Come on, Photoshop. God, it's blimmin' technical issue Tuesday today, isn't it? What's going on? Okay, I think it's opening now. It's just taking literally forever. Why so laggy? I've got no idea. I think it might be because these files are actually quite big. Especially that first one's pretty massive. As you can see, that's version 16. So the amount of layers that get added. But it doesn't seem to want to open. No, all right, we'll ignore that last one. Actually, I'll just take a screenshot and show you. For some reason, Photoshop is being weird. But I'll show you a screenshot of it. It's not that impressive, really. But this was the initial concept. So I kind of mocked this up very quickly. Just a very quick and dirty mock-up just to see if the concept had legs. So I made this, put the swords everywhere, and was like, okay, yeah, this will look cool. I'll start recording. So I started recording and ended up with this. This was attempt number 1. And as you can see, I did exactly what I think I've just said not to do. Was I rushed ahead with too many effects, too many different layers. I put bad shadows all over the place, way too kind of blurred here. I didn't cut out the wolf especially well at all. You can see that's meant to be fur, and I just kind of blurred around it with a brush. The lighting's all wrong, and it just didn't really work out. And then I just thought, oh, do you know what? I'll try and fix it by adding all these adjustment layers. No, it just absolutely did not work out. So then I tried again, attempt number 2. Better, but not by much. Yeah, the whole thing is just really dark. It's just, and I've added a few more effects. We've got a puddle with the sword in there, which is cool. We've got the glint of the sword, but everything just looks, the wolf looks green. The whole thing just looks terrible. And then again, oh yeah, I'll fix it with some effects. No, don't try and just fix the design with adjustment layers, because it doesn't work. It does not work. Take it from me. And then at this point, this is the last one I did, and I was recording when I did this. I thought, oh, this would be a great YouTube video, and I was recording, and this is probably the worst of all of them. Hence the name "Gave Up" in the file, because I legit gave up and just temporarily gave up and just put this to one side and was like, I was pretty discouraged. You know, I felt really rubbish after this. I was just like, oh, just, yeah, you know, all that sort of negative self-doubt and, oh, this is rubbish, blah, 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 all this nonsense. And then I watched a few different videos of other people kind of retouching their process. I tried to brush up on a few skills, took a breath, and then had another go, but I did it at a much slower pace, which was not this one. This is just awful. And then this is kind of not this. This is the end result. Just a much slower pace, kind of doing it step by step. In fact, I can actually show you. I think I can show you the process. Yeah, 46 versions. Okay, I can show you the process if anyone's interested. If not, and you'd like me to move on, just let me know. But this is where it started. Remember, this was 2 years ago, so I would definitely do a better job on this now. This is still not brilliant, but it is considerably better. The foliage in the middle is a cluster of different images all together. The ground is lots of the same ground layered together to try and create depth, and then there's a bit more grass back here, and then trees in the background, swords everywhere and a few puddles, and then of course the wolf and the sword and the little grave as well. So then I'm just going to go through these, and this is where I kind of make a significant change. I will update this layer. So here I just kind of refined the swords and introduced a bit more atmosphere into the background. Made it a bit darker. Again, just a few minor tweaks to sword placement and background. Darker background. Darker background again. Added a nice sort of greeny hue to that ray of light. Light ray, God ray, sun ray, moon ray, whatever you want to call it. The light coming from up. A bit more contrast to that light. Trying to lighten up areas that I've botched that were a bit dark. Oh yeah. So here I did a better job of cutting out the wolf. You can see there before, the edges looked just really murky and too clean. That looks a bit more like hair. So that made a big difference. A few more swords. Then I introduced some soil, some like dirty soil mud, so it wasn't just grass everywhere. And then we've got the reflection of the sword as well, with a little bit of that ripple effect I mentioned earlier, or smudge, whatever, one of those ones. So it kind of looks like water. Hey, Phil, welcome. No worries. And then this is the point where I decided to add the character. So I added the silhouette of the character and then lightened the background because the wolf was just getting lost and I wanted more of this light to lighten up him. Then I lightened up everything else with a bit of foggy atmosphere haze. And then redid some of the shadows on the wolf. So parts underneath the wolf were in shadow because of course he's covering them. And then I shuffled everything up a little bit just to kind of adjust the composition. Shuffled him up even more to further adjust the composition. Lightened up the background because it was just, let's be honest, way too dark. The wolf is now a little bit more in shadow over on the left side, so he looks a bit more sinister now. And it kind of matches the scene a bit more. Then I rebalanced the lighting and added lighting effects to all of the swords. Bit more foliage in the background, a darker background again. Rebalanced the lighting. Oh, I've added a rock in the foreground now. So there's like some out of focus rock in the foreground. And considering the background is blurred as well, it kind of creates this nice sense of depth. He's an imposter. I'm the real Phil. Phil B and Phil K, not the same person. Oh, you're welcome, Graphic Idea. Hopefully, my feedback was helpful. And for anyone who's interested in retouching, you know, as you can see here, like I did this a few years ago. I think two or 3 years ago. I can't remember when I did this. It might be 2020, something like that. The process here was still very backwards and forwards. You know, I would do it very differently nowadays. Oh yeah, I changed it. I drew his fur. Yeah, even the fur, it wasn't looking like long enough. So I actually just I think I smudge tooled a bunch of fur and went round and just made his fur look extra furry. And then I drew a tail. That tail was just drawn out of nothing. I just started with... What did I start with? I think I started with just like the same sorts of colours as his... I want to say mane, but I don't think wolves have manes, but all of this fur here. And I just brushed it in, brushed in some highlights, and then used the smudge tool to kind of smush the highlights and the dark areas together. And just created that tail out of nothing. It just felt like he needed a tail. Hey Ahmed, welcome. Photoshop jewel. What's going on in the chat? Phil and Phil, you need to calm down, guys. Oh, that'd be funny. We'll do a Photoshop challenge, Phil versus Phil. There can only be one Phil. Hello, welcome. Okay, so tail added, slightly more dramatic tail added, extra swoosh. Bit of grass blurred out in the foreground as well. Again, just reinforcing that sense of depth. Yeah, just tinkering with that a bit more. Making the wolf higher up and giving Artorias a much deserved higher quality gravestone, because the other one looked a bit bargain basement gravestone, to be honest. It's not exactly a nice gravestone for someone who was so heroic. So he got something a bit grander. Artorias, the Abyss Walker. There you go. Bit of lore for any Dark Souls fans like myself. Again, just shuffled everything around. Very indecisive throughout this process. Tweaking the sword positions. I added a shield to this fella's back. So again, I just got to pay careful attention to those highlights based on where the light source is, which is up here. Added some flowers down there. Again, tweaking that tail. Tweaking the tail again. More dramatic swooshy tail. More foliage tinkering. More tail tinkering. More lighting tinkering. So just a lot of this was just kind of being, I think, really indecisive and just constantly adjusting the placement of certain things. Added a few rocks there and a few more swords. Oh yeah, and this one, I got to this point in the process and thought, you know what? The actual fight in the game, the boss fight, is outdoors. It's not in a wood. So I changed the entire background to trees and mountains. Redid the lighting again to put more focus on kind of what's happening in the scene. And then darkened it again, undid that for some reason. And then darken the foreground. So yeah, I'm a strange bean. A lot of backwards and forwards here. But then this is the difference with the camera raw filter. You can see if I turn it off, it might just take a second. You can see it does look way too dark and it's still quite murky, and a lot of the details just don't kind of, I don't want to say pop because the chat will crucify me, but they don't pop enough. They don't stand out. They don't have enough clarity. And if I turn this on, you can see the difference. It really just does, especially with this kind of mud texture down here. It just adds like a whole bunch of delicious texture to that. We've got the gravestone that has this kind of grungy, worn texture on it as well. And so in this instance, adding that texture and clarity, I think, how much did they add? Yeah, I went quite high on this. Oh no, it's Photoshop crashed again. But yeah, adding that texture and clarity in this example, it really does make that image stand out so much more. I arrive and there's one phrase, make it pop. I'm so sorry, Reese. I'm sorry, man. Look, it's all kicking off. We've got Phil's mad at Phil in the chat. We've got the two Phils going at each other. I'm saying things like make it pop. The audio didn't work at the start of the stream. I think today's stream is a colossal failure, isn't it? Plonk two Phils in the foreground and the competition will be golden. The comp will be golden. Well, I'm having fun anyway, so hopefully you are. And it's the third time today that Photoshop has crashed. So screw you, Photoshop. I'm going to have to try and open it again. But anyway, that was just the wolf concept. I don't want to just keep banging on about my work, but I think I've mentioned that wolf piece before. So if anyone ever tries to create this sort of photo manipulation stuff and you feel discouraged or anything, just keep watching tutorials, keep learning, and just keep trying and don't give up, because if you persevere, you will get there. It can sometimes, time can be the secret ingredient, and just going over something over and over again, as you just saw there with the wolf and everything, until you kind of get it looking right. So yeah, hopefully there's a message of hope in there somewhere. Right, where are we with the chat? What's going on? Who's kicking off? Phil, how about a little saliva dripping from the jaws? Yes, I definitely do that now. That would be cool. After all the iterations done, it's far more sexy. Thank you, Mike. Oh yeah, I made it. Right, let's have a look. We've done a couple of chases. I'll yeah, Dilshin, I'll see if you've just sent that PSD over. I'll try and grab that one. Max art. Ooh, what have you sent? Oh, I see. This looks very Rainbow Six. This is quite a lot different. Let's whip this one up. Oh no, before we do, I just want to play the video as well. Oh, hang on. Photoshop's recovering oh, it's recovering the crashed thing. So Popinder in the chat. This is something that I made as a result of doing the wolf thing. And Popinder in the chat did this voiceover. Let me just find it. And it's not something I've ever posted, but I figured, seeing as we're talking about the wolf, I may as well show you all. If I can find it, of course. Where are you? There we go. Right. If you've ever played Dark Souls, some of this might sound familiar.
Oh, yes. The wolf, Sith, loyal to his master Artorias, a soul who braved the abyss in service to his lord, and who tragically became consumed by it. Now, his faithful companion watches over him, challenging anyone who dares approach.
Oh, that was fun. That was fun. It was fun making that. Well done, Popinder. Yes, that isn't your actual voice. That was Poppy's voice with like a pitch thing, cranking her up. Turn up the volume. Oh, look, I don't know how. Specifically for the stream. Look, I'm on a Mac. It gets complicated. Make logo bigger. Ben says I get a lot of balance the white space at the bottom, which always means fill her up. No, we love white space. I've heard that I've heard that phrase too many times, my fellow Phils. We must punish Dansky for using the dark word. What's happening? I feel like the Phils are uniting against me. This is a conspiracy. Oh, funny. Right. Anyway, so this is by Max Art Dilshin. Very Rainbow Six-esque. And we have a PSD, which is nice. So if you, if anyone does want to submit their work for review, the link in the stream description is still active. So I'll keep it up until the end of today. So if you'd like a chance for your work to be reviewed, upload your PSD files, Illustrator files, JPEGs, PNGs, whatever it is, with that link. And yeah, it might be reviewed on one of the streams. Can't you route your browser player volume through OBS? It's quite easy on a PC to change stuff around, but I have to do because I'm on Mac, to get the computer audio to play through OBS, there's this really convoluted hack that I have to kind of do to actually get it to play. It's bizarre and very unnecessary. It feels like it should be a simple solution, but it's not. So yeah. Philageddon. Alazina, well, you're welcome. Oh, I met your profile today. Hopefully all the videos are helpful. I think Phil is in another dimension. I only have until the end of today to finish my thicker idea. Soundflower. Yeah, something like that. Soundflower, black hole, something or other. Yeah, it's really fiddly, Ben. Mike, are you actually working on a thicker design, or are you just trying to cause trouble, sir? Are you just trying to bring thicker into the spotlight? Because you know we don't talk about thicker. Anyone who's new to these streams will be like, what on earth are you talking about? What is thicker? It's like he who shall not be named. We don't mention it. It's an attempted Philsurrection. Oh, you guys are funny. Philsurrection. Right, let's get the Phil puns on the go. As many as you can. Philmageddon, Philsurrection. Oh. Okay, so I forgot what I was doing then. I was definitely not trying to think of Phil puns, and then I suddenly remembered that, oh yeah, you've got a job to do, Dan. Right, so let's turn on Soldier 1 and Soldier 2. Okay, so each of these have got some retouching. Let's take a look at what's going on here. There's OG Soldier. There we go. Oh, this reminds me of like proper old school Rainbow Six with the big goggles and everything. Did anyone play Rainbow Six back in the day? Rogue Spear and like Raven Shield or any of that? Or is it just me? Something about philosophy. Clever pun. Yeah, philosophy. Oh, philanthropy. I don't know. There's a joke there somewhere. Yes, I am. It still haunts me. Thicker haunts us all, Mike. Right. Okay, so we've got a bit of adjustment. Oh, I see. Right. So we've got the levels there. Just lightening them up to match the scene because this guy's a little bit dark. And then a slight bit of color balance just to make them feel a bit more, I think, greeny. Very, very subtle, though. And what have we got there? A bit of shadowing. So yeah, you can brush in your shadows with black. That is absolutely fine. Or you can use exposure adjustment layers. Sometimes it's just easy to grab a black brush and just brush in shadows. Oh yeah, nice. We've got some highlights there as well. With, yeah, linear dodge. Nice, yeah, they're really well done. Really subtle. Oh, very nice. Then we've got the boot shadow. So a bit more shadowing down here. We've got the laser. I'd probably make the laser a bit thinner, personally. Like, I like the fact it's... Oh, yeah, do you know what I would do with the laser? I'd probably make it a bit thinner. I hope you don't mind me playing around with this, Dilshin. I mean, even if you do, there's nothing you can do about it. Oh no, what have I done? Okay, right, we'll leave that alone. This is what I would this is what I would do as a laser. Sorry, that's my evil villain laugh. So what I would do for the laser is, first of all, I think the laser is here. That's the laser unit. So something like that. I'd keep it nice and thin. But then what I would also do is just drop the flow down a bit. And just kind of have it trail off. It's kind of cool having the laser. But then if you sort of bump the flow down at certain points, you know, like when you have smoke and you can kind of see the laser in the smoke. Like it doesn't, when you have like a laser coming through smoke, it doesn't look like a solid red line. You can sort of see it. But some bits are more visible than others. Perhaps something like that. And then maybe a blending mode could give it a bit more punch. Maybe not. But that's what I would do for the laser. And then what you could do is you could blur that as well with a bit of outer glow. Whoop. Just to kind of soften those edges. Let's make that really small. Here we go. In fact, I would probably put the outer glow on and then I would chip away at little bits of it. And you can see it looks a little bit different, but I think it kind of just, it makes it look a bit more realistic. And if you have any kind of fog or atmosphere, it can blend quite nicely with the foggy atmosphere. Ben is feeling it. Add a lens flare. Where would you put the lens flare? Quinton! Whoa, serious Counter-Strike vibes right now. I was saying Rainbow Six, but yeah, same sort of thing. I also made the background too. Oh wow, how did you make the background? What have we got? Fog. Oh yeah, we got some fog. Mood lights. Whoa. Oh, sorry, I missed that. Oh, we're going to unpack this. Wow, that is cool. Oh, look at that. Oh, I'm glad you mentioned that. This is amazing. So we've got the floor. We've got some other floor. It's got papers everywhere. Ceiling in the back walls. Wow. Beds. We've got the mid wall. Oh, this is brilliant. Got some junk. And a front wall. Oh yeah, wow. Yeah, that makes a massive difference. And then the foreground wall. Oh, that is cool. I'm so sorry I nearly missed that. That's amazing. And then we've got the shadowing underneath their feet as well. Yeah, that looks really good, that shadowing as well. It feels much more pronounced around by their boots, and then as you get a bit further away, it sort of fades out a little bit. Levels check. I don't know if that's meant to be on or if that's just like a testing level. I'll put your laser back on. And then the final color grade. Okay, let's see what you did with the final color grade then. Let's have a look what's in this folder. Because that is an interesting color grade. Camera raw. Oh wow, you really enhanced just those particular bits. Camera raw filter. Let's have a look. Yeah, so you can see Dilshan's gone very subtle on the texture and clarity as well. If you crank it up, it can it can ruin it somewhat. Nice. So yeah, and that's kind of what I was talking a little bit about earlier on. You know, I think here The lighting, everything, the colors, it's a solid retouch. Like everything's looking really good. I mean, in fact, I think that's a testament to the work, if I'm honest, is that I didn't notice that was multiple images that made this scene. I was just looking at it and I assumed that was one image. That's how good it was. Or my eyesight's bad and I'm terrible at spotting these things. But no, I think it was just a really, really good retouch. Everything seemed to fit so seamlessly from a color perspective. I didn't actually notice. I assumed that the soldiers were plonked in, but the scene being constructed, didn't even see it. So that's really cool. But my point is that the scene is solid. All this retouching is really good. And then you're just using that camera raw filter to enhance what's already there and bring out some of those details, rather than using the camera raw filter to try and improve on the image or like kind of cover up retouching, if that makes sense. Taggy says, I feel Photoshop photo bashing has become a whole art form in itself. So amazing what people come out with. I see we're still going with the Phil puns. Phil's much more pronounced, lol. Dan, what do you think of Photoshop LUTs, so to speak? Do you use them much? I do actually, sometimes. I used to use them too much, and like I mentioned earlier, depend on them as well. Because a lot of what you can create with a LUT, you can actually create with all of these adjustment layers. And a LUT is essentially, for anyone who doesn't know, a LUT stands for lookup table, and think of it as a color profile. So you can actually load any of these. If you've got some that you've downloaded, you can download LUTs online for free as well. But Photoshop does come with a few here. And I think I went over these actually in last week's stream on Thursday. We used one. But you can, let's pop this on top. There we go. So yeah, you can pop these on top and they're like a color profile basically. And sometimes they actually look quite nice. Sometimes like that, they do make it go awful. But yeah, drop the blues. So it kind of maintains some of the red from the laser, but drops the blues from the image, which is quite a nice one. You've got foggy night as well. So you can actually use that or moonlight, and you can turn a day scene into a night scene as well. Some of them just have a very stylized look. Like you've got Fuji and Kodak, these ones here. So let's go with... Yeah. So as you can see, it kind of just adds a sort of a stylized look. Yeah, they're the kind of thing that sometimes I'll just kind of throw them on just to see if I can make a design look a certain way. Like I might throw it on and go, oh yeah, let's see what drop blues looks like. Oh, that looks quite cool with the blues dropped. And then I'll hide the layer and I'll go and drop the blues using color balance or hue saturation or whatever. So I'll do it a different way. In the past, I have stacked up like 6 of these layers on top. Color lookup 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and again, you end up in a bit of a pickle where like all of the retouching underneath. If you need to make a change to the color of something, your design has got to go through 6 different color lookup layers. So it makes changing and modifying the color on an individual level very difficult. Because whilst you might go and change it and go, oh yeah, that looks cool, when you then turn all those 6 adjustment layers back on, it changes the color again. So it's like, oh. So the less adjustment layers you can work with like this, I think the better. Back to real life. See you all Thursday. Thanks for stopping by, Quinton. Yes, Ben, we were doing LUTs on the last stream. Sometimes they can work, but I would say they can work and they can be useful, but don't depend on them too much would be my advice, because you can easily just start stacking them up. and then it gets quite difficult to actually modify the color of your actual design. Which camera do you use for recording yourself? So when I'm doing YouTube videos, I'm looking over there at a Sony A6400, and that's like my main one you'll see in the YouTube videos where I'm talking to the camera. The one that's filming me now is kind of set up more like a webcam, and it's a Sony A7 III. It's total overkill for what I'm using it for. Like, it's like a, I don't know, like a $2,000 camera, and it's just filming me here in this tiny little corner of the screen. I bought it years ago for a project, for like a big brand, and I needed an upgrade, so I used some of the money from the project to buy a camera upgrade. But yeah, for what I'm using it for now, it's total overkill. What mic? The mic I'm using here, this is the Shure SM7B. It's apparently what all the cool kids use, so I just bought one because I like the design of it. I thought a lot of microphones look a bit rubbish, and this one looks really clean and nice. It's got great quality. No, that would be my voice. No, I'm just kidding. It's a good mic. Yeah, a lot of the top podcasters use it. I still need to get a bit better with the audio, though. Audio is like an entire field in itself. Alok says, can we do something on Lightroom? I'd love to. I don't know Lightroom. I don't think I've ever even opened it. I just don't use Lightroom. I did do photography back in the day, like years ago, but I just don't do it anymore. I haven't done it at all. Photography. I don't do photography anymore. Not really. When I did, it was all with kind of Photoshop anyway. Thanks, Dan, for the advice on the lasers. I didn't even think about it. I'll definitely keep that in mind. That's all right. No worries. But yeah, apart from that, I mean, I suppose only one other thing that I could suggest is maybe add a bit of blur in the background to sort of make the depth a bit dramatic, but you know, I don't know if it, I mean, you could blur the foreground, I suppose, but I think it looks really cool regardless. And they've clearly got both ends of the corridor covered as well, so good on them. They clearly know what they're doing. Best mic, get that cloud lifter and it's 1,000 times better. Oh yeah, I've got one under the desk. I think it was one of Benny's videos actually, where he showed his setup, and I was like, what is a cloud lifter? And yeah, it definitely bumps the vocals up. That's the warm-up exercise he does before streaming. No, I just struggle to speak sometimes, Phil. My brain short circuits. Blah, blah, blah. Cool. Right. We'll do one more quickly. And then I need to go and forage for food. Oh, yeah, the light. This is another one by Mr. Chase Pitt. Hopefully you're still here in the chat, Chase. Oh, yes, you are. It's going to take 3 hours for my audio spectrum to export. Excellent. I mean, that's not excellent. I don't know why I said that. Anyway, the light. I love this. This looks really cool. Very gritty. Right, so we've got someone who appears to be stuck in a light bulb. He doesn't look too happy about that, does he? I like this first person perspective as well. You can just sort of see the hands kind of reaching out, as if it's kind of like as if there are hands and we're behind the camera. And I don't know why someone's trapped in a light. And honestly, I don't really care. It's just, it doesn't matter. Like, it's just a really cool design. I love the fact the hands are in focus and the light is in focus and everything else is like extremely blurred out. But there's still the kind of light coming through the windows and bouncing around here. Love these particle effects too. Yeah, the lighting here is just really good, especially on the fingers, you know. Lighting, all around the right kind of places there, coming off of the light bulb itself. Yeah, that looks really cool. The only thing I would probably do, and this is like a real nitpick, it's just one of those things that's standing out to me, is I would just, and this is probably really personal, so take this with a massive bucket load of salt. I would probably just move those hands over so the whole thing feels a bit more balanced, whereas at the moment it feels kind of very much left. Like, do you know what I mean? Like the right hand is more prominent than the left. I don't know if that's a bad thing or not, but I would just, on a design like this that's so sort of, it feels very balanced and symmetrical, or like it wants to be really symmetrical, I'd probably bring a bit more of that left hand in, and I'd probably center that text as well. Again, that is another personal thing. I do love me a bit of central alignment. But if you were to bring that hand in and balance the whole design, the whole thing is so symmetrical, especially with the corridor in the background. Even though it's blurred, it's kind of framing that whole design. Like, even though it's blurred, kind of what I'm seeing is the kind of horizon line, something like this. You know, the whole thing, to me at least, is sort of screaming symmetry. Whoa, what happened there, Dan? And so I would just literally move that text just over there into the center a little bit. Just because, you know, the whole thing is very symmetrical. Why not just push it a bit further, bring that hand in, bring the text over, and then we've just got perfect symmetry, but we're not really compromising the creativity in any way. We're just making it a bit more symmetrical and really kind of leaning into that, you know? That is a bit of a nitpick, but I don't know, just something that you might consider. Inspiration for that was from Phase Runner. Oh, cool. Very inspiring dude. Very, I mean, if you've seen Phase Runner's work, it needs no explanation. It's just incredible all around, really. Especially the Star Wars stuff. Have you seen his Star Wars work? It is definitely a thing to behold. It's incredible. Bit of fringing around the left hand. Fringing. I'm not seeing any kind of white. What you mean? Do you mean here? That sort of that kind of halo around the edge. You can mess with it there. It's all right. I'm not going to open up any more PSD files and mess around with those ones. I just wanted to kind of really kind of cover this last one because, yeah, it looks really, really cool. I like this. It is good. Would like to see the person in the bulb in an embryo / child in womb position. That would add a lot of meaning to the design. Just my thoughts. Oh, okay. So rather than having just a person there kind of looking down, have like someone in a fetal position or something. That would be interesting. It would kind of fit the curvature of the bulb as well, having someone in that sort of curled up position. I don't know the context behind this, or if this was just kind of more broadly conceptual rather than having a specific kind of theme behind it. Like, I don't know why the person is in a light bulb. So feel free to enlighten us, Chase. That was a good one. You like that? Did you like that? That was good. 10 points, Dan. Well done. Yeah, so feel free to let us know the inspiration behind this design. Oh, made it as an album cover. Oh, cool. I mean, yeah, it does look very album cover-esque. I do like that. Like a person being enlightened with helping hands. Yeah, there's quite a lot of different ways that you could actually construe this, actually. Not construe, sorry, interpret this design. Was this your wolf pick inspiration? I'm afraid not, no. Popinja says that looks really cool. I love the grungy texture as well. I think everything about this I love. The grungy texture, the particles, the extreme depth of field, the focus on what is important in the scene, which is the light bulb and the hands, and everything else is just blurred out. And it's just simple. And then the text or the logo, the words, the light just stands out nice and clearly, and it also kind of has that same sort of gritty texture. Yeah, I love it. Really cool. Khaled says, do you review UI UX Figma files? I can do. No one has sent me a Figma file yet, but I've got Figma and I could open up one. So, right, got to go, Dan. Fun as always. Enjoy your dinner. I will, Phil. I will. Thank you for joining, man. The story behind this. Okay, a man trying to find his place in the bustling world and trying to see the light, but stuck with all the people holding him back. Hence the hands reaching out to him. Wow, that's powerful and very deep. Interesting. The light. I love it. I love it even more with that context. Powerful stuff. Right. Oh, amazing, guys. I'm going to go and forage for some dinner. Thank you so much to everyone for joining the stream, and thank you for bearing with me with all of the technical difficulties. I'm just going to grab the link in case anyone would like to upload their work. I'm going to close submissions at the end of today. So where's the link? There we go. It's in the description of the stream, but if you'd like a chance for your work to be reviewed, upload your PSD files, Illustrator files, PNGs, JPEGs, Figma files, whatever you like. There's the link. Popinja says, looks like a great horror movie. Yeah, it does actually. Oh, also, before I go, I know this isn't Photoshop related, but if you would like to learn everything I know about Adobe Illustrator for graphic design or whatever it is, if you'd like a career in design, this is my full Adobe Illustrator masterclass where I will teach you everything I know. Yes, I finally made a course. It took me 6 months. Oh, it's probably the best thing that I've done in a long time. Very proud of that one. So yeah, if you'd like to learn everything I know, there's the course. And if you sign up to my mailing list on Dansky.com, you get 15% off as well. Outlast 3. Oh, no. Oh, I tried playing Outlast 2, and that's the only game I've ever had to stop playing. Outlast 2 was just freaky as heck. It's just like, I like games where you can accumulate firearms and fight back. Outlast is just, you have a camcorder and you are on the back foot the whole game. You are defenseless. It was absolutely terrifying. Something was stalking me inside a house, and I said to Poppy, I was like, nope. I'm not doing it. Close game, uninstall, and that was the end of that. Right, fantastic. Right, I'm going to shoot. Have a fantastic day, everyone, and I will see you later in the week on Thursday for what we're doing. Dansky Live, where we are going to design some cool things or something. I don't know. We'll have fun either way. Right, take care, guys, and I'll see you later.